Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Nalanda University's new campus in Rajgir in eastern state of Bihar. Says Nalanda is a symbol of India's academic heritage and vibrant cultural exchange. World Sickle Cell Day being observed today. This International Awareness Day aims to enhance public knowledge and understanding of sickle cell disease, as well as the challenges faced by patients, their families and caregivers. Russian President Vladimir Putin visits North Korea, holds talks on trade and security with Kim Jong-un. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Nalanda University's new campus in Rajgir in the eastern state of Bihar on Wednesday. Now, speaking at inauguration ceremony, Prime Minister Modi said that Nalanda is a symbol of India's academic heritage and vibrant cultural exchange.
नालंदा ये केवल नाम नहीं है, नालंदा एक पहचान है, एक सम्मान है, नालंदा एक मूल्य है, नालंदा एक मंत्र है, गौरव है, गाथा है, नालंदा है उद्घोष इस सत्य का कि आग की लपटों में पुस्तकें भले जल जाएं, लेकिन आग की लपटें ज्ञान को नहीं मिटा सकती.
Conceived as an international university under a joint collaboration between India and East Asia Summit countries, the ceremony was also attended by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and ambassadors of 17 nations. The university offers postgraduate and doctoral research courses. The Net Zero campus is located close to the ruins of ancient Nalanda University. Ahead of the inauguration, PM Modi visited the ruins of Nalanda University, which are a UNESCO World Heritage Site established during the Gupta Empire era. Its faculty members included renowned Buddhist scholars. The newly inaugurated Nalanda University in Bihar's Rajgir is not just an international education hub, but it also serves as a symbol of the revival of an ancient Indian learning center. Dear India's Anu Kaushik gets you more.
Established more than 1600 years ago, the Nalanda University in present-day Rajgir in the eastern Indian state of Bihar served as the leading center of learning for centuries. Considered the world's first residential university, Nalanda attracted over 10,000 students from all over the world. Its curriculum included grammar, medicine, logic, mathematics, astronomy, and alchemy. The courses offered at Nalanda were much varied when compared to its contemporaries in Europe. The University of Bologna in Italy and UK's Oxford and Cambridge universities were known for teaching law. In the late 12th century, Nalanda was attacked and damaged by invaders. But its legacy has been revived in the form of the namesake university in Rajgir, which is located close to the site of the ruins of the original Nalanda. The decision to establish the present-day Nalanda University took place in 2010, but it was only in 2014 under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government that major efforts were made to establish the institute as an international center of learning. Today, Nalanda University has the support of 17 countries including Australia, Bangladesh, Bhutan and South Korea. Its current batch has students from nations like US, Argentina, Turkey, and Nepal, among others, who are enrolled in courses like history and international relations. Nalanda has 137 scholarships for international students. Serving as an example of state-of-the-art architecture, Nalanda is a net zero campus with solar plants. But first and foremost, Nalanda University serves as a modern-day center of learning with its roots in ancient India. Anu Kaushik's report for DD India.
India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar attended the state-level program on World Sickle Cell Day 2024 at Government Chandravijay Mahavidyalaya, Dindori in India's Madhya Pradesh. Governor Mangubhai Patel, Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav and Deputy Chief Minister Rajendra Shukla and ministers of the state government also attended the program. Sickle cell disease is a genetic disorder in which red blood cells change into sickle shape. Due to this, there is a shortage of healthy red blood cells and blood flow can be blocked. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar emphasized the important role of tribes in India.
भारत की पहचान जनजाति कल्चर है। भारत की पहचान में आपका बहुत बड़ा योगदान है और इसी वजह से भारत के प्रधानमंत्री ने दो बड़े संकल्प किए हैं, महान संकल्प किए हैं। एक कि जब भारत जहां दुनिया का 1/6 हिस्सा रहता है, 1/6 ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी रहती है, जब वो आजादी की शताब्दी मनाएगा 2047 में, तो भारत विकसित राष्ट्र होगा और विकसित राष्ट्र की पहचान होगी सिकल सेल बीमारी का पूर्ण उन्मूलन। यह दृढ़ संकल्प भारत के प्रधानमंत्री ने लिया है।
On the World Sickle Cell Day, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that his government is committed to overcoming this disease. Taking to his social media account on X, he said, "On World Sickle Cell Day, we reiterate our commitment to overcome this disease. Last year, we launched the National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission and have been working on aspects like creating awareness, universal screening, early detection and proper care. We are also leveraging the power of technology in this area." TERI, the prominent organization working in the field of environment, has completed 50 years since its establishment. A program was organized to mark the occasion, which was attended by distinguished guests, including former Central Minister and current Chancellor of Rishigod University, Suresh Prabhu. Suresh Prabhu emphasized that environmental crisis is a critical global issue and highlighted TERI's significant role in addressing it over the decades. A high-level U.S. congressional delegation, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, met with spiritual leader Dalai Lama in India's picturesque Dharamshala. The trip comes days after Congress passed the Resolve Tibet bill that would become an act after U.S. President Joe Biden's signature. The bill seeks China to start a dialogue with Tibetan leaders to find a solution to the dispute over the status and governance of Tibet. Speaking during public reception in Dharamshala, the leader of the bipartisan delegation, Michael McCall, who also chairs the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, said they would not allow China to influence the choice of the successor of Dalai Lama. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un held one-on-one talks in Pyongyang on Wednesday during state visit by Russian leader to North Korea. Putin's advisor said on Wednesday that in one-on-one format, the two leaders intended to discuss the most important and most sensitive issues. Large groups of North Koreans gathered to welcome the two leaders at their event. This is Putin's first visit to North Korean capital in 24 years, and experts believe that his visit has the potential to drastically alter decades' worth of relations between Russia and North Korea at a time when both nations are isolated internationally.
We highly appreciate your consistent and unwavering support for ASEAN policy, including the Ukrainian strand. I am referring to our fight against the hegemonic policy imposed for decades, the imperialist policy of the United States and its satellites against the Russian Federation.
The government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea expresses full support and solidarity with the Russian government, army and people in carrying out a special military operation in Ukraine to protect their sovereignty, security interests as well as territorial integrity.
The United States has voiced concerns about closer ties between Russia and North Korea, saying that deepening cooperation between the two countries is of concern for anyone that's interested in maintaining peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula.
The deepening cooperation between Russia and the DPRK is something that should be of concern, especially to anyone that's interested in maintaining peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, but also supporting the people of Ukraine as they continue to fight against Russian aggression. And so, of course, you're well aware of DPRK providing ammunition and weapons to Russia that's been able to help them perpetuate their illegal and unprovoked war against the Ukrainian people. So it's something that we're going to continue to keep an eye on.
And DD India correspondent Chris Gilbert joins in from Tokyo to give more information on this. Chris, hello. A Russian president is in North Korea. His first trip, in fact, in 24 years there. The visit, however, aims to bolster relation between the two countries, but what it means to a larger part of the world, and especially the West.
Yeah, bolster ties between the two countries, which has just moments ago resulted in a new comprehensive strategic partnership agreement between them. Now, the details of what that is and what it means are still coming out. But you mentioned the West, that is effectively the United States and the other countries that it leads. And its concerns have been fairly well established, as we just heard. It is mostly concerned about any possible breach of sanctions on either country that may come out of this relationship and may come out of this new trade partnership, which Vladimir Putin has vowed will not be able to be touched by the West, which effectively means that it is going to be balancing against what they call US imperialism to create another pole or another bloc. Now, Russia is also saying that there is absolutely nothing to be concerned about in this relationship. It is saying it is very well aware of the sanctions that are in place. It has no intention of breaking them. But if we look at the direct concerns of, quote, the West, it is that North Korea is providing arms to Russia in violation of sanctions that are intended to choke Russia of resources to continue the war. Now, both countries deny this, and despite the frequent repetition of it as fact, it has not actually been proven yet. There have been some elements of evidence of North Korean arms being used in Ukraine, but the smoking gun of the shipments has not been proven at this stage. There's also the concern of the sanctions against North Korea using ballistic technology, and the concerns that this document could secure the provision of ballistic technology from Russia into North Korea. But as I say, Russia is saying that there's nothing to worry about in this particular document. It is simply two countries doing business.
Okay. Chris, NATO is also concerned over Putin's visit to North Korea for varied reasons, mainly North Korea's missile and nuclear programs. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, NATO, as well as many other powers in the world, such as here in Japan, you mentioned North Korea's nuclear abilities. Fumio Kishida, the Prime Minister here, has said that the Ukraine conflict of today could become the Indo-Pacific conflict of tomorrow. But it is also worth remembering that number one of security challenges or security risks for the United States and for Japan, as outlined in the national security documents, is not North Korea and it's not Russia, it is China. and China is included in NATO's list of concerns. This new axis that's come up with of North Korea, China, and Iran as disruptors to the international order, but of course, and potentially propping up, NATO alleges, the long-running conflict in Ukraine. But of course, experts point out that all of these countries have varying interests which don't always meet and don't always match, which is why we see these bilateral agreements such as between North Korea and Russia popping up rather than multilateral ones like we see in the Western-led bloc, between the Philippines, Japan, South Korea, the US, Canada, and so on. So that is their concern, but as Russia is saying, there is nothing to be concerned about, and it is certainly not wanting to tread on anybody's toes, it says.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, for joining in. The United States renewed a warning on Tuesday that it is obligated to defend its close treaty ally a day after Filipino Navy personnel were injured and their supply boats damaged in one of the most serious confrontations between the Philippines and China in a disputed shoal in South China Sea.
We're going to continue to stand with our Philippine allies. We condemn the escalatory and irresponsible actions by the PRC to deny the Philippines from executing a lawful maritime operation in the South China Sea. And as you've heard Secretary Austin and others say, the Philippines' rightful legal maritime claims must be protected.
All right, and still to come on DD India News Hour. Israel's defense forces say they had approved operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon. Deadline for registering to vote in the UK general election now passed. Britain goes to polls on 4th of July. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Israel's defense forces said that it had approved operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon following recent intensification of cross-border fighting with Hezbollah. Israeli military said that the head of the IDF's Northern Commander, Major General Ori Gordon, and the head of Operations Directorate, Major General Oded Baiswick, held situational assessment on Tuesday and approved Lebanon battle plans. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that United States is still trying to bridge the gaps on Gaza ceasefire talks, adding that Hamas continued to add new conditions to its approval to a proposed agreement by President Biden a few weeks ago. Blinken made the remarks after a meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Tuesday.
I'll just remind everyone once again that the entire world came together behind the proposal that President Biden laid out a few weeks ago. The entire world, with one exception, and that was Hamas. Hamas came back with, after everyone else had said yes, including Israel, reconfirmed to me by Prime Minister Netanyahu when I was in Israel. Hamas came back with new conditions, new demands, including demands and conditions that actually went beyond what it had already previously accepted. So we're working to see if we can bridge the gaps that Hamas has now created by not saying yes to the proposal that everyone else had agreed to.
All right, and DD India correspondent Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv. Sarah, the IDF has said that they have approved the operational plans for an offensive against Hezbollah. What latest are you getting for us on this?
Hello there, Sid. This is extremely concerning, given that both sides are really threatening all-out war here. What we do need to remember is that these Hezbollah fighters, which are thought to be more than 100,000 of them, they are sophisticated, they're heavily armed, and they are battle-hardened after training in Syria, fighting in Syria during its civil war. So this, of course, is a major concern for Israel, given that they've really stepped it up, become so much more sophisticated since the 2006 Lebanon war. Now, of course, this is why we are hearing from the United States and why Amos Hochstein, the Biden senior advisor, was here in the region over the last couple of days. He's really trying to de-escalate this situation, call for calm and tell both parties that there still is room for diplomacy, really amid concern from the Biden administration that if this situation on the border between Israel and Lebanon does escalate any further, it could potentially tip the region into a wider war. So this is of extreme concern, given that Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran and is also thought to have more than some 150,000 extremely long-range dangerous rockets, which can really hit anywhere in Israel. And just very briefly, it was only late yesterday that Hezbollah published an almost 10-minute video of what it says is pictures from a drone that it flew over very sensitive military sites in northern Israel, over Haifa port, where there's a naval base and other very sensitive military equipment. So this is, of course, extremely worrying.
Definitely, it is extremely worrying, Sarah. Also, the announcement came amid increasing tensions between the two sides, and also at a time when U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein called for urgent de-escalation of confrontations on the Israel-Lebanon border during his visit to Beirut. How do you assess this?
Certainly, and this is what I was just saying, just so much concern from the Biden administration over this situation. And we also need to look at the timing of this announcement from the Israeli military, just days after the Prime Minister here in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, announced that he's dissolving this very limited, small war cabinet that was actually set up in the wake of October 7. It now means really that even though he's basically come out to say or appeared to show that this is to block the far right-wing ministers in his government, specifically the National Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and also the Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, from making any more decisions. We do need to look at the timing of this, given that they will really be pressuring Netanyahu, and they have been pressuring Netanyahu to take more action when it comes to the security situation on Israel's northern border, where already some 60,000 Israelis are internally displaced and they want to go back to their homes. So certainly a lot of pressure on Netanyahu, a lot of pressure from the United States for both parties to come to some sort of an agreement. And this is also why we've seen pressure from the United States on Hamas also to agree to a ceasefire and also a hostage release deal, because there is, of course, if this does come into play, then this could potentially bring down tensions in the north, Sid.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah Coates, for joining in. Colombia will give legal status to up to 540,000 Venezuelan migrants. Colombia's country's migration agency said that they will give legal status to the guardians of minors residing in the country on Tuesday. The measure will benefit adults taking care of some 270,000 minors who have permission to reside in Colombia. As per the official statistics, more than 2.8 million Venezuelan migrants currently live in Colombia. Earlier in 2021, the then government said it would give 10-year legal status in Venezuelans living in Colombia. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte will succeed Jens Stoltenberg as NATO chief. Dutch national broadcaster NOS said Rutte, a staunch ally of Kyiv, will be the next NATO chief after Hungary said Slovakia backed him, clearing a crucial hurdle on his way to NATO's top job. NATO's next Secretary General will face the challenge of sustaining allies' support for Ukraine. Romania's President Klaus Iohannis is the only country officially opposing Rutte's candidacy. Any candidate needs support of all 32 allies as NATO takes decisions by consensus. And the deadline for registering to vote in the UK general election has now passed. Britain goes to polls on 4th of July after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called a snap election. His Conservative Party looks set to lose the opposition Labour Party unless there's a huge change in public sentiment between now and election day. Meanwhile, British inflation has returned to its 2% target in May for the first time nearly 3 years. Data showed on Wednesday, but underlying price pressures remained strong, meaning the Bank of England is likely to wait longer before cutting interest rates. And DD correspondent Ollie Barrett is joining from London to give more details on this. Hello, Ollie. UK's inflation rate has just hit 2%, its lowest level in 3 years. What does it mean for the election campaign?
Well, Sid, this is being seized upon by the governing Conservatives as evidence that their plans with regards to the economy are working. We've been hearing from Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. He says that this shows that the British electorate should continue to trust the Conservatives to stick with their plan and not take any risks by voting for a Labour government. You may not be surprised to hear that the Labour Party see it very differently indeed. We've been hearing from the Shadow Finance Minister, Rachel Reeves. She says that actually people up and down the country aren't yet feeling that the cost of living crisis is easing, even if inflation is falling back towards Bank of England target levels. We've been hearing as well from the other opposition party, one of the other opposition parties, the Liberal Democrats, saying that Rishi Sunak should not be boasting about these inflation figures at this point. So as you'd expect, all of the parties interpreting this data in different ways. But Rishi Sunak initially called the general election as inflation headed back towards normal levels at 2.3% when he called the election. But one of the difficulties for him and his Conservatives has been that the Bank of England has not yet found that it believes that it's the right time to cut interest rates, which would be one of the things which would make businesses and individuals across the UK who have debts of one sort or another feel slightly better about the cost of living. The Bank of England up to this point has felt that there are still inflationary pressures to be mindful of, and so it's not expected that the bank will help the government in any way by announcing an interest rate cut as soon as Thursday of this week. It's expected it'll come later in the year and therefore probably after the UK general election. So the inflation number is pivotal to today's campaigning on the election trail. Not necessarily as helpful, though, to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as he might like.
Okay, Ollie, what are the latest polls telling us about who might be in power after election on July 4th? What are the chances?
All of the polls up to this point during the campaign so far have continued to see the Labour Party with a wide margin, around 20% or more, according to the vast majority of polling that we've seen. We also have projection polls which look at the possible division of seats in the House of Commons after an election based on various different metrics, and all of those surveys as well also point towards the Labour Party receiving a large majority and the Conservative Party down to several dozen MPs, which would be a very difficult result indeed for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. He's been asked about those polls on the campaign trail today. He says he's still fighting to win the election. He believes that the polls can turn around. The danger for him, though, and his Conservatives, is that not just looking in one direction ahead towards the Labour Party out in front, he's also looking over his other shoulder at the Reform UK party led by Nigel Farage, the right-of-centre anti-immigration party, which has been gaining ground on the Conservatives, even overtaking them in at least one poll so far. Now, that doesn't mean that that will translate into lots of MPs at Westminster for Reform UK, but it does make life even more difficult for the Conservatives. Another opposition party, the Liberal Democrats, they are looking at polling which suggests that they could be set to take a swathe of seats, particularly in parts of England like the southwest of the country, from the Conservatives. So all of the polling up to this point has looked very, very depressing indeed for the Conservatives and pretty healthy for the Labour Party. They, at this point, the Labour Party looks set to form a government after July the 4th. Things could still change.
All right. Thank you so much for your assessment. All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Scientists at Neuromore Devices of the USA have developed a device called Nalanda. The device is helping tinnitus patients to deal with the constant ringing and rewires the brain to ignore it. Tributes poured in from fans all around the news of baseball legend Willie Mays came out. He was 93 years of age with 23-year-long sports career. U.S. Staff Sergeant Gordon Black has been sentenced to 3 years and 9 months on charges of theft and threats to kill his girlfriend by a Russian court. Black was detained on May 2 in Vladivostok. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We give you all the updates on 18th edition of Mumbai International Film Festival. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. A quick recap of the headlines. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Nalanda University's new campus in Rajgir in eastern state of Bihar. Says Nalanda is a symbol of India's academic heritage and vibrant cultural exchange. World Sickle Cell Day being observed today. This International Awareness Day aims to enhance public knowledge and understanding of sickle cell disease, as well as the challenges faced by patients, their families and caregivers. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited North Korea, holds talks on trade and security with Kim Jong-un. World Sickle Cell Day is observed on June 19 every year to raise public awareness about sickle cell disease. Medication research is underway to enhance and improve the treatment. Let's take a look at the report.
On December 22, 2008, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution designating sickle cell disease, one of the major hereditary illnesses worldwide, as a threat to public health. Every year, World Sickle Cell Day is observed to increase global awareness. Over 3 lakh children suffer globally from this monogenic condition. The sickle gene is widespread among many tribal population groups in India. The government often conducts awareness efforts in the areas that are dominated by scheduled tribes. Sickle cell traits progress when the sickle cell gene is passed on from only one of the parents of the child. It is a genetic blood disorder. Every 2 to 3 months, a blood test is necessary to screen for sickle cell. A simple blood test can identify sickle cell disease. The red blood cells in the body of an affected individual do not form completely and become fringed. Fringed red blood cells obstruct the flow of blood and oxygen throughout the body of the patient. Seeing its devastating impact, the Madhya Pradesh government is taking special initiatives in tribal areas for the treatment of sickle cell patients. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi accelerated the efforts being made at the central level. A range of treatment options for people with sickle cell disease to effectively cure the condition is being implemented. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Minister of Food Processing Industries, Chirag Paswan, launched website and mobile app of World Food India 2024 today. The event aims at introducing the world to rich Indian food culture as well as promoting investments in the diverse food processing sector of the country. The third edition of World Food India 2024 will be organized from 19th to 22nd September 2024 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi.
जिस तरीके से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमारे क्षेत्रीय लोकल फूड को, इस तरीके के प्रोडक्ट्स को उन्होंने जिस तरीके से एक इंटरनेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म उन्होंने देने का उन्होंने काम किया, तो ये तमाम ऐसी चीजें हैं जिनके प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट्स, कितने क्षेत्रों में अलग अलग किस्म के आम का सीजन चल रहा है, ये सब है, वहीं पे अगर उनके प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट्स लग जाएं तो वहां पे उन किसानों के हाथ में ज्यादा आमदनी आएगी, प्रति व्यक्ति आय में इजाफा होगा, उस राज्य का राजस्व बढ़ने लगेगा। ऐसे में इसी सोच के साथ कि एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म मिले नेशनली एंड इंटरनेशनली, इस सोच के साथ हम लोग इस वर्ल्ड फूड इंडिया का हम लोग आयोजन करने जा रहे हैं। खास तौर पे ऐसे यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जिनकी ये सोच रही है, जो अपनी सोच से इन तमाम इस क्षेत्र में एक बड़ा बदलाव ला सकते हैं, उनके लिए भी ये प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां पर वो आकर अपनी काबिलियत को वो प्रदर्शित कर सकते हैं, किसानों की कुछ सहूलियत दे सकते हैं, उनकी बेहतरी के लिए वो काम कर सकते हैं।
The India Meteorological Department has forecast heat wave to severe heat wave conditions across many parts of North India on Wednesday. The north to central Indian states including Punjab, Himachal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha continue to experience intense heat wave along with severely warm temperatures at night as well. However, the Met Agency predicted a gradual reduction in the conditions due to approaching western disturbance towards northwest India. A scorching heat wave has turned this year's Hajj pilgrimage into a tragedy. According to the diplomats, over 550 Hajj pilgrims died in Mecca as temperatures soared above 50 degrees. Over 320 of those who died were Egyptians, most of them succumbing to heat-related illness. Furthermore, diplomats also informed that at least 60 Jordanians have died. Rise in numbers is feared. And India correspondent Vinod Kumar is joining us from Dubai. Vinod, over 550 Hajj pilgrims died in Mecca as a result of soaring mercury. What details do you have on this?
Siddharth, this year we witnessed scorching temperatures that sadly claimed the lives of more than 550 pilgrims. The day of the Arafat, the second day, was particularly challenging this year as temperatures soared above 50 degrees, 51.8 degrees to be exact. Despite the provision of air-conditioned tents, many pilgrims spent the day under the open sky praying as per the strict religious practice of Wukuf al-Arafat, which involves standing and praying throughout the day in the Maidan of Arafat. Unfortunately, this practice combined with extreme heat led to numerous casualties. India also reported around 50 deaths during the core Hajj period. The core Hajj period comprises of the 5-day period, which included the day of Arafat. This is lesser than what was reported last year. Last year it was total 67 Indians have died, and this year it has come down to 50 deaths. And also people don't realize that just to complete the Hajj rituals, people have to walk almost 10 kilometers during the day of Mina. That is the stone pelting day, the third day. This is a part of Hajj ritual, and most people are not physically fit or they are not prepared for it. Most of the people who are died in this Hajj is from the country of Egypt, and Egyptian deaths mostly were due to heat, and some of them were due to.
Indeed. Vinod, can you tell us very quickly what is being done to prevent it now?
See, this is the last day of Hajj. The Saudi Health Ministry had given an announcement that that medical facilities are being upgraded at this moment, and they have also given a refinement that 189 hospitals, health centers and mobile clinics are working round the clock, and they have around 6,500 beds with more than 40,000 staffs. And notably, we have also to note that this elaborate health arrangements have considerably reduced the heat-related death. Over 390,000 cases has been administered by the Saudi Arabian health authorities, and which included not only these heat-related deaths, heat-related administration, but also 28 open heart surgeries, 720 cardiac catheterizations, and 1,200 dialysis. So elaborate arrangements are there in Mecca, Medina, and Mina. This year, more than 1.8 million people have attended Hajj, and 1.6 million of them are from outside. And one important point to note that despite all these arrangements, people have died because from Egypt this year, it's reported that so many off the book people have attended Hajj, which people who cannot afford to attend the Hajj through the official channels, they have come off the hook. And these are the people who primarily fell to this heat stroke.
Thank you so much for joining in. Today is World Sickle Cell Day, and to talk more on this, I've been joined by Dr. Vijay Kumar, who is Professor and Head Hematology Unit, Department of Pathology, WIMS and RML Hospital. Sir, first of all, thank you so much for joining in. Now to begin with, can you please explain in simple words for our viewers, what is a sickle cell disease?
Yeah, it's actually a very important question, particularly for our audience. I mean, all the viewers. That sickle cell disease is per se has got. I would like to explain. It is actually there are from mother and father. There are two alleles. I mean, this is sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait. These are two different things. One is when the one gene or one allele is defective. Is from, in the simple words, from the father, baby carries one allele. From the mother side, it carries one. If one of them is abnormal, like normally, for normal hemoglobin, globin chain which is produced, particularly beta globin chain I am talking, that in this beta globin chain, one allele from father as well as from the mother, both should be normal. This is a very important point. If only one is abnormal, not a problem, that is called sickle cell trait. But if both the alleles are abnormal, that becomes a problem because that becomes a disease. And that is actually symptomatic. So I guess it is pretty clear that both the alleles, means both the genes coming from father as well as mother, must be abnormal for a child to get affected.
Okay, so it's a genetic blood disorder. Okay, and it generally impacts the RBCs, red blood cells. Some people with sickle cell disease need blood transfusions. Can you explain something related to this?
Exactly. Yeah, very good question actually. What happens, the symptom and signs are variable and it depends on, various parameters, there are modifiers, but in simple words, in sickle cell, what happens, the shape of the RBC, which is normally biconcave, like, concave from both sides, so that it can accommodate the hemoglobin. What happens, that when the sickle cell, in the sickle cell disease, when the hemoglobin is sickle, that is hemoglobin S type, the entire RBC gets rigid. And this rigid RBC will not be able to pass through the capillary channels. And what happens, that it will get broken down, what we call it as lysis. So this lysis of RBCs gives rise to several problems like jaundice and, different other problems. And it's not only the short-term problem, there is a long-term problem of the sickle cell disease also. So that's important to keep in mind. Like, for example, in early part, there can be increase in the spleen size, that is splenomegaly, but later on, there is a problem in terms of infarction. So what happens, the primary problem in the sickle cell disease, that the cell itself, that is RBC, is rigid and it is not able to pass through the RBC, and it is going to cause hypoxia and hypoperfusion in different organs.
Okay. Sir, also, since this is a genetic blood disorder, what is being done to cure it? Any advancements so far?
Yeah, actually, what happens, first of all, we have to diagnose it. I think treatment part is important, but equally important is the diagnosis part. Just few words about that. That we have to do, certain investigations like hemoglobin HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography, which helps to diagnose the sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease, where we will get the S window. And secondly, hemoglobin F is also increased. Now coming to the, I think, treatment part as well as the newer recent advances. In the treatment perspective, first of all, we tend to counsel the patients to refrain from going into the area which has got propensity to give dehydration sort of thing. Like the person has to be good hydrated in a proper environment, number one. Number two, there should not be any hypoxia or high altitude where it requires more oxygenation. Number three, another important point is good nutrition is equally important. But as far as the recent advances in the treatment is concerned, other than hydroxyurea, which used to be given to increase the hemoglobin F, nowadays even the gene therapy as well as the hematopoietic stem cell transplant are also available.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. T20 Cricket World Cup Super 8 stage kicks off from tonight. USA all set to face South Africa in first Super 8 encounter. India's star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra shines once again at international podium. Bags gold in Turku. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And time now for sport. And for that, I have my colleague Deepika Mehta with me. Deepika, hello, very good afternoon. A lot is happening in sports, Deepika. You know, in football, in cricket, you have Super 8s, you have Euro 2024. Are you a football fan or a cricket fan?
Good afternoon, Siddharth. First of all, a cricket fan because we've got Super 8 in action and India will also be playing their match tomorrow. So first up, let's quickly give our viewers a quick update on what's happening in the world of cricket. So first, let's get you all the action from the Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. Well, South Africa will have no room for error against a spirited USA in its opening Super 8 match of T20 Cricket World Cup on Wednesday. Slotted in Group 2 of the Super 8s, South Africa emerged as the top side from Group D in the first round, while USA clinched a historic berth in the second round after finishing second behind India in Group A. Now it will be the first time South Africa and USA will be meeting in T20 International. The Proteas are riding high on the positives of 3 consecutive victories. Meanwhile, USA have had a bag of mixed results with 2 victories, a defeat and a washout in the group stage. New Zealand fast bowler Lockie Ferguson has become the second bowler in T20Is and the first at a men's T20 Cricket World Cup to bowl 4 maiden overs in a spell. Tapush Bhattacharya has more from Ground Zero. Take a look.
New Zealand's fast bowler Lukey Ferguson has etched his name to the world record books with a phenomenal spell of bowling in the T20 World Cup 2024. In New Zealand's last group stage match against Papua New Guinea, Ferguson delivered an unparalleled performance, becoming the second bowler in T20 international history and the first in men's T20 World Cup to bowl 4 maiden over in a single spell. Yes, you heard it right. 4 overs, not a single run conceded, and 3 crucial wickets. Coming on to ball in the 5th over after New Zealand opted to field, Ferguson made an immediate impact. His very first ball had PNG captain Asad Vela caught at first slip. Ferguson kept the pressure on the new batter, Sersebao, with 6 dot balls in the first over. Returning in the 12th over, Ferguson struck again, this time pinning Charles Amini in front for 17. This decision was initially given not out, but it was overturned upon review, confirming the ball was hitting the stumps. Ferguson final over, the 14th of the innings, saw him clean bowl Chad Soper for just 1 run, sealing his 3rd wicket of the day. While PNG managed to sneak 2 runs through leg byes, Ferguson bowling remained impeccable. The breathtaking spell of 4 maidens, 3 wickets for 0 runs will go down in history, not just as a personal milestone for Ferguson, but as a testament to the thrilling, unpredictable nature of T20 cricket. The only other bowler to achieve this remarkable feat is Canada's Saad bin Zafar, who recorded 4 over 4 maidens and 2 wickets against Panama in the T20 World Cup in the qualifiers in 2021. Though New Zealand's journey in the T20 World Cup 2024 has come to an end, following losses to Afghanistan and West Indies, Ferguson's extraordinary performance will be remembered for years to come. With camperson Ejjai Shankar, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Barbados.
All right, moving on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook a surprise visit on Tuesday evening to review the work underway to build an international cricket stadium and sports complex in Varanasi. Now, once ready, the stadium and the sports complex will cater to the needs of the youth and further enhance a sporting culture in the region. Moving on to soccer now, Portugal kick-started their Euro 2024 campaign with an edgy 2-1 Group F victory over a dodged Czech Republic on Tuesday. Now, the Czechs had stunned the Portuguese fans packed inside the Leipzig stadium when they took the lead out of the blue in the 62nd minute as Lucas Provost's superb curling effort threatened to cause an almighty upset. Yet the unfortunate Warnock scored an own goal 7 minutes later to set up a frantic finish that saw Portugal claim the 3 points. Earlier, Turkey beat Georgia for 3-1 in a dramatic battle under the rain. A stunning long-range strike from teenager Arda Güler helped lift Turkey to a victory in their Euro 2024 Group F opener against debutants Georgia. Now, Georgia repeatedly went close to the equalizer. Their tenacious performance deserved and forced a vital block from Semat Akaydin in added time before Kerem made it 3-1 with virtually the last kick of the match. On to athletics now. World champion Neeraj Chopra clinched the gold medal in javelin throw at the prestigious Paavo Nurmi Games 2024 in Finland on Tuesday. Now, with a commanding throw of 85.97 meters, Neeraj not only secured the top podium spot, but also delivered a performance that solidifies his status as a frontrunner for the upcoming Paris Olympics. His victory at the Paavo Nurmi Games serves as a crucial milestone in his journey. Meanwhile, home favourite Toni Kerinen claimed the silver medal with a personal best throw of 84.19 metre, while his compatriot and 2022 gold medalist Olivier Hilander took the 3rd spot with a throw of 83.96 metres. So that was a quick wrap from the world of sports. Back to Siddharth.
Well, thank you so much, Deepika, for all those updates. Certainly a lot is happening in the world of sport. Thank you. And now, all the updates on the 18th edition of Mumbai International Film Festival. On the 5th day of the Mumbai International Film Festival, a special package for the specially abled under Divyangjan will be screened. These films are Little Krishna, Jai Jagannath and The Crossover.
Adding a new dimension.
There will also be press conference by jury of international competition today.
Austria's commander Rudolf Hess's son Yerkin during his time living close to the infamous concentrator.
And now all the updates on the International Day of Yoga, which will be celebrated on 21st of June. The ancient practice of yoga is making a significant impact on mental health. From reducing stress and anxiety to enhancing emotional well-being and mindfulness, yoga offers a holistic approach to mental wellness. DD India correspondent Rahul Upadhyay dives into the science behind yoga's benefits, hear from experts, and share inspiring stories of transformation.
Yoga is derived from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to unite. Yoga has a profound journey towards unity of mind, body, and spirit. In this edition, let's explore how yoga enhances mental health.
The fast-paced life resulting in many lifestyle-related ailments. Issues relating to mental health are also on the rise. Tension, anxiety, and depression are being reported at an alarming pace in almost all strata of the society. Popping pills seems to be the go-to solution with the generation next. But yoga provides an alternative solution to these problems with little effort and some attention.
Yoga does not mean as a only asana. It is a Ashtanga yoga. So all steps like yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and towards the samadhi. So in day-to-day practice, if you someone follows certain discipline in the lifestyle, in the diet, and the positive thought process, and follows and observes the yogasana, I think that is the way of leading healthy and happy life.
Yoga's combination of physical postures known as asanas, controlled breathing, and mindfulness techniques effectively promote relaxation and mental calmness. The benefits that occur make yoga a valuable tool to manage the psychological challenges of day-to-day life.
Physical, mental, and spiritual, three parts of yoga. So we can strong these by asanas, like these are the physical posture. By pranayams, these are called breathing exercises, and by meditation.
People around the world has witnessed the benefits of yoga in their life. Carrie Harrendorf of US, who's a yoga therapist, was suffering with many challenges like anxiety, depression. But after practicing yoga in her daily life, she found it very helpful.
If everyone in the world did yoga, the world would be a better place. There'd be more harmony, more health, more happiness, more integration, right? Life happens in the body, and the body doesn't lie.
Research suggests that including yoga in one's daily routine can significantly reduce cortisol levels, a hormone associated with stress.
19th century Indian philosopher Swami Vivekananda once said, "Through practice comes yoga, through yoga comes knowledge, through knowledge comes love, and through love comes bliss." With this vision in mind, let us pledge to incorporate yoga into our daily life. With camera person Vishwabandhu, this is Rahul Upadhyay reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. So Euro 2024.